One moment, a car was crushing her child. The next, witnesses watched a woman lift part of that car high enough for other people to pull the child free. It sounded impossible, until doctors realized the impossible had happened before, and before that, and before that again. Her name was Angela Cavallo. In the early 1980s, in the state of Georgia, her teenage son became trapped beneath a Chevrolet Impala while working underneath it. Neighbors later described seeing Angela somehow raise the car long enough for others to rescue him. Whether every detail has grown in the retelling hardly matters. Stories astonishingly similar have appeared across decades, across countries, and across cultures. Ordinary people suddenly doing extraordinary things when someone they love is about to die. So what changed? Did their muscles suddenly become stronger? Or did something inside them finally stop holding those muscles back? The real answer is far stranger. Because your body already contains what sounds like a super soldier serum. It has been there since long before cities existed. Long before farming. Long before your ancestors even called themselves human. The strange part is that it spends almost your entire life hidden behind invisible locks installed by your own brain. Why would evolution build incredible strength into your body only to stop you from using it? To answer that, you have to travel back to a world where every day was a survival test. Imagine waking before sunrise. No walls, no locks, no ambulance, no police. Only your family, your instincts, and a landscape filled with things that could kill you. Your ancestors did not survive because they were always the strongest. They survived because they were careful. Every movement had a cost. Every injury could become an infection. Every broken bone could become a death sentence. Using maximum strength all the time would have been a terrible strategy. Your muscles are not engines that simply produce as much force as possible. They are tools managed by an extremely cautious operator. That operator is your brain. If your muscles were allowed to contract at full force every time you picked up a bucket, climbed a hill, or opened a heavy door, you would tear tendons, snap bones, and destroy joints within days. Your own body would become your greatest enemy. So your brain created limits, invisible limits, constant limits, protective limits. Most of the strength inside your muscles is never actually used. Does that sound impossible? Scientists once thought so too. Then researchers began measuring what muscles could actually produce under unusual conditions. Experiments involving electrical stimulation showed that muscles could sometimes generate noticeably more force when normal brain signals were bypassed. The exact amount varies enormously depending on the muscle, the person, and the experiment, but the pattern remained fascinating. Hidden capacity appeared to exist. That raised an uncomfortable question. If the muscles can do more, who is stopping them? The answer points toward your nervous system. Every movement begins inside your brain. Before your muscles receive instructions, your brain estimates risk. Can the joints survive? Will the tendons hold? Could this movement cause permanent damage? The command your muscles finally receive is not simply about strength. It is about safety. Your body is negotiating with itself every second. One of the structures involved in coordinating movement is the cerebellum. Another is the motor cortex. Together with networks running through the spinal cord, they constantly adjust force, balance, timing, and precision. You rarely notice this invisible conversation because it happens automatically. Then something extraordinary happens. A genuine life or death emergency arrives. Not stress about an email, not anxiety before an exam, real danger, the kind your ancestors faced for hundreds of thousands of years. Within seconds, your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with adrenaline, also called epinephrine. Your heart accelerates, your breathing deepens, blood vessels feeding your muscles widen. Stored energy begins pouring into your bloodstream. Your pupils expand. Pain becomes quieter. Time itself may even seem to slow down. Has time really slowed? No. Your brain has simply switched into an entirely different operating mode. Research by David Eagleman and other neuroscientists suggests that terrifying moments often feel longer because the brain forms unusually rich memories during intense experiences. Looking back, those memories contain far more detail, creating the illusion that more time passed. Your brain is not changing the clock, it is changing you. But adrenaline alone does not magically create new muscles. That is one of the biggest myths. Instead, it changes priorities. Yesterday, protecting your knees mattered. Now, protecting your child matters more. Yesterday, avoiding torn muscle fibers was important. Now, surviving the next 10 seconds becomes everything. Your brain begins relaxing some of the limits it normally enforces. Not all of them. Never all of them. Enough. sometimes that tiny shift changes everything. Researchers such as Roger Anoka have spent decades studying what scientists call neural inhibition. In simple terms, your nervous system does not simply activate muscles. It also prevents excessive activation. Strength is controlled by both acceleration and braking. Imagine driving a powerful sports car. You keep one foot near the accelerator. The other stays ready for the brakes. Most of daily life happens with both systems working together. During an emergency, the accelerator pushes harder. The brakes loosen. Not completely, just enough. That difference can feel almost supernatural. Have you ever noticed that people often describe these moments the same way? They say they never thought. They just acted. That is exactly what evolution wanted. Thinking costs time. Survival sometimes cannot wait. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman describes how much of human behavior depends on rapid, automatic processes operating beneath conscious awareness. In ordinary life, those shortcuts help you navigate the world efficiently. During emergencies, they become even more dominant. Your ancient brain speaks first. Your conscious thoughts arrive later. That does not mean fear disappears. It means fear changes jobs. Instead of freezing you, it redirects every available resource towards immediate survival. Even pain begins following different rules. The soldier who keeps running despite an injury, the athlete who finishes the race before realizing a bone is broken, the parent who ignores burns until the danger has passed. These stories sound unbelievable until you understand that pain is not simply damage. Pain is information, and information can be delayed. Neuroscientist Patrick Wall helped transform how scientists think about pain by showing that the brain plays an active role in deciding which pain signals reach conscious awareness. Pain is not just something that travels from your body upward, it is constantly filtered. During an emergency, survival outranks comfort. The message can wait. Eventually, however, the bill arrives. The adrenaline fades. The shaking begins. The injuries become obvious. Exhaustion crashes over the body like a wave. Why? Because emergency mode was never meant to last. Your ancestors needed minutes, not days. If your body stayed in that state continuously, the same chemicals that once saved your life would begin damaging it. Blood pressure would remain dangerously high. Sleep would collapse. The immune system would weaken. Memory would suffer. Your super soldier serum comes with an expiration timer. Evolution built it that way. There is another strange twist. The strongest person in the room is not always the one with the biggest muscles. Confidence changes strength. Expectation changes strength. Fear changes strength. Scientists have repeatedly demonstrated that the brain influences physical performance in ways that are surprisingly measurable. Research by Samuele Marcora has shown that perceived effort inside the brain can limit endurance even before muscles reach their physical limits. Sometimes your body stops because your brain predicts failure, not because failure has actually arrived. That prediction has enormous power. Elite athletes spend years training not only muscles but also movement patterns inside the nervous system. Repetition teaches the brain that greater force can be produced safely. As confidence grows, some of the protective limits become more efficient, rather than simply disappearing. Training changes permission, not just strength. That explains something curious. Why can a smaller trained climber sometimes outperform a much larger beginner? Why can experienced firefighters carry astonishing loads? Why can rescue workers continue moving after everyone else has collapsed? Their muscles matter. But so does their nervous system. Their brain has learned that certain levels of force are survivable. The invisible safety margins become more precise. Not reckless. Precise. That is very different from becoming fearless. Fear is useful. Fear kept your ancestors alive. The goal was never eliminating fear. The goal was teaching the brain when fear should step aside. Hollywood often imagines secret injections that instantly transform ordinary people into unstoppable warriors. Reality is stranger. Evolution already invented something better, a system that sleeps quietly inside nearly every healthy human being. It waits, it calculates, it protects. And when every other option disappears, it briefly unlocks abilities that were there all along. Not because your body suddenly became stronger, because your brain finally decided survival was worth the cost. The fascinating part is not that extraordinary strength sometimes appears. The fascinating part is how rarely it does. For almost every second of your life, your brain is choosing preservation over maximum performance. It is protecting tomorrow instead of winning today. That silent negotiation has been happening inside your species for hundreds of thousands of years. It happened while your ancestors crossed frozen landscapes. It happened while they escaped predators. It happened while they carried children through forests. And it is still happening every time you climb stairs, carry groceries, catch yourself from falling, or reach for something on the highest shelf. You never notice it. Because the greatest trick your brain ever learned was making extraordinary restraint feel completely ordinary. So the next time you hear a story about an ordinary person doing something impossible, remember that it was probably never about discovering hidden strength. It was about temporarily removing hidden limits. That super soldier serum was never locked inside a laboratory. It has been flowing through your body for millions of years. And just like the mother that lifted up a car high and long enough for her son to be rescued, the extraordinary part was never that the strength appeared. The extraordinary part is that your brain spends almost every day making sure you never need to see it.